5 things here on KC Sports Network presented by our friends at Batch Elder Family Farms. If you want those fresh, farm fresh products, go check them out. BatchelderFamilyFarms.com, 20810 South Prospect Avenue out there in Belton, Missouri at the farm store. You can go check them out. Go check out all that they have as the holidays are coming up. You want to stock up, go to BatchelderFamilyFarms.com. If you are new here, 5 Things is our pregame show. We give you 5 things that we are watching for. It's not just me here. We got Kent Swanson, Maddie Lane, the KC Laboratory. They'll lead us off here with their first thing. Matt Hamilton will follow them up. We'll have myself giving you one of the things I'm watching for. Benny Heisler, KCSN betting analyst, will give you a betting line that he is looking at, and then we'll round out with only weird games. Those guys will give us one of the things that they are looking for in this game, and that is 5. That is 5 total things that we are looking for in Chiefs-Colts. Massive matchup here, so let's get to it. Let's get down. Kent, what do you got for me?
Thanks, Tuck. Kent Swanson and Maddie Lane here from the KC Laboratory. Excited to be talking Chiefs-Colts, a massive, massive game, a season-defining game for the Kansas City Chiefs playing the Indianapolis Colts on Sunday. And yes, I am here with my friend, my ally, Matthew Lane. Maddie, how we doing?
Listen, we're doing good. We're ready. The Chiefs are turning it around right here. This is a big game against the once kind of boogeyman for the Chiefs of the 2000s and early 2010s, the Indianapolis Colts. So this is where they turn it around.
It's funny because the Colts have been like a thorn in the Chiefs' side in the past. I remember one of their Super Bowl years, they inexplicably lost to a bad Colts team, and now you've got like the combination of Lou Anarumo's aura and the Colt aura at the same time. I'm kind of hoping they just offset each other. We're not talking about Lou Anarumo, though. We're talking about the other side of the ball for the Indianapolis Colts. A good receiving core. This is a developing, improving receiving group here. Michael Pittman, Josh Downs from the slot, and then Alec Pierce playing really, really good football this season. This is we talked last week about like some of the size and physicality and ability of the Colt or of the Broncos, skill players and being able to win at the catch point and being able to be competitive and challenge at a high point. And this group, I think for the Colts, they present some of this challenges the same, not necessarily Downs, but this is a good group with a lot of size, athleticism, a diversified skill set that can challenge all areas of the field. This is a really good receiving group. And I think it's going to be a big challenge for the Kansas City Chiefs secondary, especially a secondary that's kind of been in flux a little bit the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, the Colts have receiving options of like various different skill sets and body types and guys that do a lot of different things. In their alignment, they mix it up enough that they do present, I think, a pretty unique challenge. They present a more challenging matchup, I think, than the Denver Broncos did, who didn't have a ton of success, but had success in the moments where they needed to. So the combination of Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, and then you add in the tight end of Tyler Warren on top of like the run game. It's an entirely different beast. They do have a lot of different ways they could beat you. So the Chiefs secondary, I do think will have to play a little bit better, a little bit tighter than they did against the Broncos. It felt like there were a few times where different players were on slightly different pages and allowed too much space, or they didn't have the correct leverage given where other guys were playing. And that's going to happen when you're cycling in all these different players over and over again across the secondary. We saw the return of Christian Fulton last week against the Broncos. We saw Christian Roland Wallace get a big step up in playing time. We saw a little bit less Jaden Hicks, who's a guy that had been playing a decent amount throughout the majority of the year. So you just have a lot of moving parts with this Chiefs defense in the secondary. Trent McDuffie's no longer playing in the slot as much against the Broncos. You have all these moving parts, and it is kind of hard to get everybody on the same page when you constantly have so much turnover and so much change. So it's not only curious about who's going to play for the Chiefs, but can they all start playing a little bit more in unison so that some of those voids, some of those gaps and leverage and stuff that we saw and a couple of those big throws against the Broncos don't show up again this week, because Daniel Jones has played good enough to hit these receiving options in those spots.
Don't even know if I heard Les Noel Williams as part of that rotation too. Like, it just, things have just changed so dramatically in that secondary. And, like the Chiefs, they come out and they make their bye week adjustments, and it's trying different things. It's trying different, different players at different positions, and it's mixed bag. I mean, not good. It just wasn't good. And I think, Christian Fulton, like, I think you want to give him a little bit of grace here because he is coming off injury. He had a long gap in between, playing early in the season. They really didn't work him in for an extended period of time. They used the bye as a natural opportunity to kind of get him back in the mix a little bit. And like, I think he was someone that got targeted in some pretty high leverage situations. You saw him giving up a lot of space in a 3-deep look early on in the game, and then he tried to go press at the line of scrimmage and was unsuccessful in winning down the field, and was beat by 2 steps by Pat Bryant. So I think this is a secondary that needs to start, like you said, like it's got to start gelling, man. Like they've got to get this thing right. And I think the thing that's fascinating to me is like, I don't think they're just going to make rash decisions to go back and revert back to what they were doing before the bye. I think they're trying to ride with the horses that they got. And like, it seems like they're all in on Christian Fulton. Dave Merritt saying today, like they brought him in here to play, and so he's going to play. So I do anticipate you're going to see Christian Fulton, but you're just going to need a big step up in performance from him from week to week.
Yeah, and like Spags said the same thing when he was up on the podium today. Like they've been trying to get Christian Fulton back for a couple of weeks, or had been wanting to, and they just didn't quite find the spot. And the bye week they thought provided them that opportunity. He also went on to say, like, yeah, we also had a package of personnel or plays for Noel Williams they just didn't get to. I don't know what that means. That to me almost sounds like a dime or quarters defense that they didn't get to, which, yeah, okay, like that's not a real package for a guy, but that's besides the point. They didn't use Noel Williams. They tried to work Christian Fulton back in. It didn't go well. Do they stick to it, or do they go back to the guy that's a younger player that they didn't pay near as much money but had played a little bit better? But even beyond that, like what happens is this is another Christian Roland Wallace game, right? Like you look at what the Colts do. Josh Downs is their primary slot wide receiver right now. And so he's a smaller, shiftier guy. And that matchup for Trent McDuffie's pretty good. Whereas on the outside, Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, bigger guys use their body a little bit better to box corners out. That's the type of receiver that Trent McDuffie has struggled with a little bit more. Now the Chiefs had no qualms putting him on Cortland Sutton this past weekend. So maybe they'll go that route again, but you could see if I came to you and said, hey, who's the Chiefs' third corner going to be? Like in snap count at the end of this game, is it going to be Roland Wallace? Is it going to be Noel Williams? Is it going to be Christian Fulton? How are you even going to price that out? Just like from a betting standpoint, if that were to be the case. So we're all kind of sitting back and having to wait and see what they do. But whoever they choose, it's just, they got to play as a team. I think that's the biggest thing. Yeah, Fulton got beat one-on-one on the shot again when he tried to press down the sideline. But the other play that he really gave up the big completion on, it was just his leverage was poor, but Shamari Connor also vacated the zone, and Jaden Hicks also didn't get back deep enough in the zone. So it was a combination of everybody that was wrong, and you have to wonder how much of that is because they're constantly moving guys in and out of the lineup, changing their positions. So they just need to play as a team on the back end above everything else, and then we can work on singling out the personnel exactly who we want it to be or who they want it to be going forward.
That's why I kind of think they'll roll with a similar personnel grouping this week than they did last week, because like I think they do want to give that group a chance to kind of work together, gel. They obviously made a big shift for a reason, and I think that reason, I mean, like we're probably not going to be privy to all of it from a performance perspective, but I think they're going to try to give that a chance, would be my guess. I'm calling all Chiefs fans. You could be on the field at the 50 inside GEHA Field for the official coin toss at a Chiefs home game this season. Visit Chiefs.com/GEHA now and enter to win a chance to be on the field for a once-in-a-lifetime view of the pre-game coin toss. Plus, you can score other exclusive prizes. Enter for a chance to win at Chiefs.com/GEHA. GEHA is the proud partner of the Kansas City Chiefs. You're going to hear from Matt Hamilton right after this.
I'm Brett Goodwin, one of the owners of The Learning Tree. The Learning Tree is a neighborhood toy store in Prairie Village, Kansas. This has been here in this location since 2000s, and my husband Alan and I purchased the store in 2023. Alan and I grew up in families where we've always wanted to have a business together. Alan grew up, for instance, his parents had a jewelry store. I worked in a local toy store here in Prairie Village when I was growing up. When this opportunity happened in 2023, we knew right away we wanted to contact them and pursue the store. We wouldn't have been able to get the store without the team at Emprise Bank. From the day we contacted them, They knew what we needed to do, which was very helpful. I would absolutely recommend the team at Emprise Bank to anyone looking to secure a business. We worked with Emprise from day one. They were extremely helpful. They were always great resources. We talk to them frequently. They know the area. They're very friendly. We know who we're going to talk with, and they know what we need to do. We hope we'll see you at the Learning Tree.
All right, guys. The one thing I'm focused on for this game is the Chiefs passing game up against man coverage, which I do think the Colts are going to give them a pretty heavy dose of. I know Coach Lou Anarumo has a history with Patrick Mahomes and defending this Chiefs offense, and it hasn't typically been a heavy dose of man coverage. There's been a lot of drop 8 stuff, trying to make Mahomes throw into some tight windows in zone. But I think with the personnel that he has now, with Charvarius Ward coming back, with the addition of Sauce Gardner, I think that was a driving force behind that Sauce move, was to get more aggressive in coverage, play a little bit more man, and also allowing them to get a little more aggressive up front too, with a stronger back end. So we've seen what's happened to this Chiefs passing game when they've had to face a lot of man coverage this year. We saw it last week against the Broncos. It seemed like every key third down, the Broncos were in man, and it gave Patrick Mahomes some issues, and these receivers had some issues separating as well. Patrick on the year, just 53% completions against man coverage. So it's going to be a challenge for Kansas City to draw up some more man beaters that aren't just mesh. It's going to be a challenge to these receivers. Hey, you got to create separation. You got to beat your man. It's going to be a challenge to Xavier Worthy to get off the line a little bit cleaner. This is something that teams historically have been afraid to do against Kansas City, and now we're seeing it across the board. So it's on Andy Reid, it's on Mahomes, it's on his receivers to now adjust to the way that teams want to play them. And I do think that there is enough talent there that they can make this happen. I would like to see the Chiefs, from a personnel standpoint, open things up a little bit more. We saw Noah Gray on the field for 33 snaps in that Denver game. I don't think you can play that way anymore, because again, if you're going to be seeing a lot of man coverage, he's not getting open against man, and it's nothing against him. It's just, you got to go with your personnel that's going to beat what's being thrown at you. And I think the way to do that is to get more speed on the field. We need to see Tyquan Thornton and Xavier Worthy on the field together. I think we should see more 10 personnel in this game than the Chiefs typically run, because I think that's the way you get your best 11 guys on the field. Or, and if it's not 10, maybe some more 11 personnel, maybe some 01 personnel potentially too. But you got to get more of these receivers, more speed on the field if you're going to beat man coverage, if you're going to beat what Coach Lou Anarumo is going to throw at you. So the season is on the line here. I think you know what you're going to get a heavy dose of. Obviously, the Colts will mix it up too. They're not just going to stay in one thing, but in those critical moments, you're going to see some man, and it's time to man up for Kansas City in this offense. So that's what I'm looking at. Back to you guys.
I appreciate it, Hammy. Beef of the week here on 5. Thanks. Appreciate our friends Batchelder Family Farms for this segment. When we talk about beefs, we are talking about the big beefy boys up front. I think this game, when I come and I really look at this matchup, one of the things that super sticks out to me, as always, is the line of scrimmage battle. The line of scrimmage is going to be vitally important in the Chiefs matchup here with the Indianapolis Colts. First, let's start with on the Colts side of the ball. When the Colts have the football, I should say, their offensive line doesn't have a bunch of like headlining names, right? You know Quentin Wilson, you know that guy, you know that guy's a really good football player. Bernard Raymond has been playing really well as their left tackle. Matt Goncalves as their right guard has been playing really well. Braden Smith has been a phenomenal right tackle, and Tenor Bortolini has been their center, and he's been kind of the anchor of that whole operation as well. Their offensive line might not have guys that you expect to see headlining or necessarily being the sexy offensive line names, if there's even such a thing, right? But they have been getting it done, especially when it comes to the run game. They are maulers in the run game, which has helped Jonathan Taylor do what he does. Taylor, a phenomenal back already, but this offensive line just also adds into that as well. They've done a really good job of keeping Daniel Jones clean as well, keeping him clean, not allowing him to make as many turnovers. Now, as of late, he's turned the ball over a little bit more. That's because defenses are starting to dial that pressure up a little bit more. You got to think that the Colts are going to be prepared for that. Colts coming off of a bye week, so their offensive line certainly should be prepared for that. The Chiefs' defensive line on the other side of that coin as well, they're going to need to get after the quarterback. The Chiefs defensive line is going to have to win some one-on-one matchups, and they're going to have to be sturdy and tough against the run, which they have been on individual running back performances. They've only allowed James Cook to go over 100 yards. It's the only running back that they've allowed to rush for a large number. Can Jonathan Taylor join the large legions of other running backs that kind of failed to get to that 100-yard mark? We'll have to see. That's going to be probably a big emphasis in this game, especially with how good they are with play action. The Chiefs defensive front is going to have to come up big. Their front seven is going to have to come up big in this one. Now let's flip it over to when the Chiefs have the ball. The Chiefs offensive line has been playing better as of late with the Josh Simmons reintegration into the offense. That has been crucial and vital for this offensive line. Patrick Mahomes felt like he was pretty comfortable back there when it comes down to the pressure side of things. Now there have been a couple of times where there's been a couple of protections not necessarily go the right way. You think about against the Broncos of that third down and the last drive of the time that the Chiefs last had the ball. There was a little bit of a miscommunication. They have a rookie left tackle, so I think that there's a little bit of some leeway there when it comes down to that side of things. They'll get it worked out, but Josh Simmons looked like he didn't miss a beat. I feel pretty good about the Chiefs' offensive line heading into this matchup, going against a Colts defensive line that is kind of much like the Chiefs in terms of their defensive line. They got Kwity Paye, Grover Stewart, Adewale, Latu, and those are their guys. And there's nothing that really sticks out. Kind of like the Chiefs defensive line. When you talk about the Chiefs defensive line with Chris Jones, George Karlaftis, Mike Dana, Charles Omenihu, there's not guys that are popping off the page. They are, interesting enough, very similar in the same regard of having pretty decent pressure numbers, but not getting the sack production, but not getting that total production that you would anticipate from a unit that's getting that high of pressure, kind of like the Chiefs defensive line in that front. So I think that the teams find themselves in very similar situations, trenches-wise, when they have the football, right? So I think that they feel like they have the advantage when they have the football. I feel like the Chiefs offensive line is better than the Colts defensive line. I feel like the Colts offensive line is better than the Chiefs defensive line. The offensive lines in this game are really what are going to dictate how this game is. Will they run the ball? The Chiefs saying that, will the Chiefs run the ball enough to make it matter? We'll have to find out. We'll have to see. But the trenches is where this game is going to be won. The trenches will also be where this game is lost. All right, let's keep it going here on 5 Things. Let's go ahead, send it to Benny Heiss and get his pick for the game. Benny, take it away.
All right, guys, thank you so much. What's up, everybody? Ben Heisler, KCSN betting analyst here with you. We got some thoughts on the Colts coming to town to take on the Chiefs. Crazy to talk about what feels like a must win, but here we are, and there are some plays and some great opportunities on the board for betting purposes that we'll get to in just a second. But of course, we are talking about DraftKings Sportsbook, and it's another opportunity to ask you to really think about what your favorite touchdown is, because I think for so many of us, the next one is the best touchdown. And with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL, every touchdown brings you closer to cashing in. There's so many different ways to play. You can get in on a first touchdown score. You can get in on an anytime touchdown score. I love the live in-game touchdown plays where you can get some even more favorable odds once the game is kicked off. So many different ways to play. And the best part is new customers who bet just $5. If your bet wins, you'll get $300 in bonus bets instantly. So how do we determine what to do with this Kansas City team? They're 3.5-point favorites at DraftKings this week against the Colts with a total of 50.5. I like the Chiefs at -3. I didn't really like them once the hook came in, just because of how many times teams have been able to backdoor cover against them. And you just don't know which defense is going to show up consistently or not. But what I do expect is for Daniel Jones to throw the ball quite a bit. And I'm going to take, for a prop this week, I like the over on Daniel Jones to go over 31.5 passing attempts. I think it comes down to this. The Chiefs don't want to let Jonathan Taylor beat him.
And he's done that to pretty much every team they've played this year. So what can Kansas City do a little bit differently? I think what you've seen over the last couple weeks with the Colts is that Daniel Jones is starting to come back to earth a little bit. Kind of think of Sam Darnold from last year with the Vikings when all of a sudden that first half was just terrific. And then he started to come back to earth, turn a little bit more into that pumpkin that we've become accustomed to seeing. Weeks 1 through 8, Daniel Jones had just 2 interceptions and 9 total sacks in the last 2 games. 4 interceptions and 12 sacks with only 2 touchdowns thrown. The Chiefs are still a very good run defense. They've allowed the 5th fewest rushing yards in the NFL all season with 748. And so I think you're going to see plenty of stacked boxes. They're going to make the Colts have to turn to Jones. And listen, he's done it throughout the course of the season, but I expect him to still deal with plenty of pressure from Kansas City's front and also throw the ball plenty of times. So give me the over on Daniel Jones at 31.5 passing attempts. And remember, here's what you do over at DraftKings Sportsbook to get it on the action. You download the DraftKings Sportsbook app, use the code KCSN. That's code KCSN for new customers to turn $5 into $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Remember, if you have a gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY to 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Just call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in Kansas. Pass-through of per wager tax may apply in Illinois. You must be 21 plus age, and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Bet must win to receive bonus bets, which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. And for additional terms and responsible gaming resources, visit dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. That's it. That's my 5 things. We'll send it back to you.
Appreciate it, Benny. All right, let's round this thing out. Let's take it home. Joshua Briscoe, Nate Taylor, Seth Kaiser. What do you got for me?
It's Only Weird Games here to close things out. 3 kings with 1 thing to talk about. That's what we're doing. Nate Taylor, Seth Kaiser. I'm Joshua Briscoe. All 3 of us are here. Look at that. Seth, let me just ask you the question that will kick off what we're keeping an eye out for in Chiefs Colts. And just give me a nice, simple, definitive answer we can all relax until game time with. Are the Chiefs going to make one of the offensive adjustments that we talked about on Thursday's show? Is there going to be some sort of offensive evolution from the shortcomings of the Bills and Broncos games to what we see against Indy?
You know, if I know one thing, is that it's going to be okay. And by that, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be okay. So, I mean, here's the thing. Do I think that the Chiefs are going to make some adjustments? Yes, but boy, did I think that before the Broncos game, too. And that is where it's like, wow, look at all this extra time we have to maybe make under center and play action stuff and deep shots and a little more creative stuff, maybe just a little empty, run a little empty. Hey, Andy, maybe if you ran empty because you trust all your offensive linemen, you could run empty, and then they can't really run some of the same match stuff because you've got too many receivers out there, so maybe run empty. Anyway, maybe they could have done all this stuff, but instead they were like, what if instead we had our first drive and we threw the ball down the field a couple times and then we just ran all the same stuff we've been doing all year? They'll never see it coming. And like, it's like one of those things where it's like, well, yes, and my boss would never see it coming if I came to the office and lit myself on fire, but that doesn't mean it's a good idea. Like, be like, wow, that was surprising that Seth did that. Never saw that coming. Oh, did he win the case because of it? Of course not. He lit himself on fire. He's dead. Like, that's not a thing. So instead, I think now, because this is the most Chiefs thing ever, the game that it was so obvious to change things up against a defensive coordinator you've played 20 gazillion times. There was the time, the division on the line, blah, 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 blah. It would be so like them the very next game to be like, oh, right. Here's the game plan for against the Broncos. Let's just do it this week, guys. I knew I left that somewhere. So I think this is the week. Oh, I'm Charlie Brown right now. I think this is the week you see them actually attempt to build more of the plane out of the stuff that's already been successful right now. And that means Tyquan Thornton on the field a little more curated deep shots to him, a little more intermediate stuff to Xavier Worthy, a little more under center play action stuff. Patrick Mahomes dropping back out of under center? Probably not. That doesn't look like he's super comfortable with. But let's start building the run game out of runs and not RPOs, which are actually POs because they're pass options and literally nothing else. I wish I'd been able to really figure out what that would look like in terms of what it was, but nope, they're POs. So yes, this is the week, and man, did I give a positive answer in the most negative way possible.
I mean, to think, Nate, that some people were worried about Seth during his absence, and all he did was come back and compare the Chiefs' offensive game plan against the Broncos to self-immolation. How's your mental health and also the health of the Chiefs' offense?
Yeah, I mean, look, if we want to say these last two game plans have been like seppuku, I wouldn't deny it. When you're just like, I'll just put the blade to myself and see how much I can damage control anyway. Okay, guys, here's your homework for Sunday's game. If you're listening, take a piece of paper out, perhaps preferably a lawyer's notebook.
Douse it in lighter fluid.
Yellow. Yep. And then once it dries, I want you to write on that notebook under center. Then I want you to count how many times your Kansas City Chiefs line up with the quarterback under the center's keister. That is honestly the only adjustment they have to do, I guess, based on, empirical raw data of them being successful at running the football under center, which means you likely get a third linebacker on the field, which means you theoretically could play action off of that to get favorable matchups in the middle of the field. Am I speaking fluent Japanese, Seth?
Yes.
Or is that like, I think even the Germans understand what I'm saying right now. So with everything in mind, if you're Italian, ladies and gentlemen, under center, quarterback's hands under the center's keister, and maybe you could, I don't know, roll out, bootleg, play action deep shots.
They call those three different methodologies the axes of football power. So
yeah, just track it, see how many times they do it, and if they do it more times, they might score more points than they did the last two games.
For Craig Stout and Maddie Lane, I'm Kent Swanson. That's our one thing.
All right, I appreciate it, Josh. That's going to do it for 5 things here on KC Sports Network. Appreciate you watching all the way to the end of the video. Hit that like button, hit the subscribe, and also thank you for listening on the audio platforms as well. If you're listening to this as a podcast, we appreciate you as well. As always, we will be live right after the game for Chiefs and Colts post-game show. That'll be Ken Swanson, Matt Lane, and Craig Stout will be making a special live appearance, supposedly. So you have to tune in to watch out and see if Craig Stout will be there. Also have our KCSN Soul of KC holiday raffle going on right now. You can go to givebutter.com/KCSN Soul to buy tickets and see all of the awesome prizes that we have going on for our holiday raffle. We'll be going all the way through December 4th is the cutoff, so get in there, get in to win some pretty special prizes. Appreciate our friends at Batchelder Family Farms as well for making this whole thing possible. Go to batchelderfamilyfarms.com, check out all of the products that they have to offer. Go head on out to the farm store as well, 2810 South Prospect Avenue in Belton, Missouri. That's 20810 South Prospect Avenue out there in Belton, Missouri. Go to the farm store, go see all the animals, go see Chief, go see what they're all up to there at Batchelder Family Farms. They're also at the Overland Park and the City Mart Farmers Markets as well if you want to get some of their farm fresh products. Always appreciate them. We always appreciate you as well for watching all the way until the end of the show. So that's going to do it here for 5 things. We will talk to you after Chiefs and Colts.